Good morning, Sharks. I'm Jonathan. Here today with JWin.
Hey, guys.
For those who don't know JWin, he has been crushing it recently, moving up in stakes, battling hard.
Oh, yeah.
How's life?
Life is great. Poker's good. Content's fun. Newborn, keeping me busy. But overall, the happiest I've ever been.
Well, that is good. We are all about spreading happiness and bettering each other, bettering the community, and making the most of our opportunities. So speaking of opportunities, you've been ramping up your poker play. Why?
Yeah. Well, things are going well. I've been fortunate to have bigger and better games in Texas. And things have just been really well in the past year. And I'm just trying to push it as hard as I can.
For anyone trying to move up in the stakes of live poker right now, do you think Texas is the place to be?
No. Please don't come.
Games are tough. They're no good there. Stay away.
Everybody's tight. Nobody bluffs. They always have it. You always lose. Just don't come. Texas is not the place to go.
Well, let's see if they always have it today. Let's get right to the hand.
This time, we play a hand with someone else. Just kidding. Seriously. Another hand with Pierre, who has now won several huge pots and stacked a couple of people. Let's try to get a good hand here. It folds to me in a cutoff, and we open ace-5 of diamonds to 150. No straddle in this hand for some reason. It folds to Pierre, and he defends.
You raise it up with the ace-5 of diamonds. Perfectly fine in standard.
Yep.
You'll raise worse hands than this.
Totally.
Do you play a loose, aggressive style for the most part, or are you on the tighter side?
I play the same exact ranges that you'll find on pokercoaching.com.
There you go.
To the T.
I will say, in Texas games, that might be a little tight.
Perhaps.
Because
if I'm on a live stream, I'll open it up a little bit more to make sure I float closer to the middle, to the top. But in general, I start with a strong fundamental pre-flop game.
As you should. But if your opponents are not going to 3-bet enough, which again, sometimes they do in Texas, they can really get after. But if they're not going to 3-bet you enough, and most people don't 3-bet enough, and if they don't check raise enough on the flop, you can raise slightly wider than GTO ranges.
The flop cannot be better. 10-8-2 of diamonds, giving us the stone cold nuts. Pierre checks it to us, and we bet 2/3. We went with the larger sizing since he has to defend with any pair or large diamond. And music to our ears, he raises it to 800. At this point, I take a minute to soak up any information. His natural raising hands on monotone boards are sets, 2 pairs, and worse flushes. I'm not finding any bluffs here, so I could apply pressure by 3-betting it or smooth calling. If I smooth call, the pot would be right under 2K, giving us an SPR of 5 or so. Hard to get the money in. But if I do raise, do I make it too easy to scare away weaker hands? I ultimately decided to smooth call and take a turn.
All right, flop comes. 10-8-2. All diamonds. Pretty good. You have only the nuts.
Yep, we're living life.
Good. Guy checks. You bet 200.
Yep.
You mentioned you size it up here because he's going to defend wider than normal. I know on monotone boards, GTOs usually bet kind of small. But not in Texas. In Texas, you should probably size it up a bit because if you give anyone any pair or any decent diamond, they're not holding.
Correct. We're just playing way too deep.
Yeah, and you want to build the pot, right? If you're deep stacked, you want to usually use bigger sizes. If you're shallower, because that makes the pot big, and you want to stack the opponent. All right, he puts in the raise to 800. What kind of range do you think the opponent has?
I think a lot of times the opponent has one pair here. It's very possible for him to have a big diamond. He could have some draws. Again, I'm in a cutoff. A 10 high board is not really going to hit me that often. Additionally, it's a monotone board where I should be checking back a lot of hands as well as betting small. So when I use a big size, it almost feels like I want to take it down perhaps with one big diamond. So a check raise does get the job done a lot of the times. But in this particular hand, we actually do have something. I'm
surprised you think your opponent would have a lot of pairs here. Because in my mind, when you bet big, I'm not thinking you're necessarily trying to push the opponent around. I just think you're very polarized. And if you're very polarized, he really doesn't want to be check raising one pairs. Because he's going to be in terrible shape when he gets some action. And he doesn't know if you have a flush or a flush draw. Either way, it's not great. So I would have presumed the opponent's more polarized, like with sets and 2 pairs. Maybe like good top pairs.
Oh, for sure.
And then diamond draws, like king of diamonds queen, or king of diamonds 9, or queen of diamonds jack. Stuff like that. So cool spot where some players will check raise a much wider linear range, but others will be way more polarized, and it's hard to know what that is in real time at the table. At least
even in real time. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but as each street goes on, you can kind of narrow down his range more and more, and all the 2 pairs and sets totally make sense.
Cool. Let's see what happens on the turn.
The turn isn't great. A king of diamonds. This eliminates more nutted hands, which means his best hand at the moment is a queen of diamonds. When he checks it to me, I use a slightly more than half pot sizing, weird one process-wise. I think I should have used closer to 40% sizing, but a topic for another day. Anyway, he makes the call.
Once he check raises flop and then checks on a 4th diamond,
Yeah.
I think this is a spot where you should expect him to check a lot.
For sure,
because
yep.
your continuing range, like we just said, should be a lot of flushes and flush draws.
Yep.
And you're going to have a lot of ace-high flush draws. And king-high flush draws, which obviously you don't have anymore.
Yep.
Because the king came. So this is a really bad card for your opponent.
Yeah, yeah.
So they should be checking a lot, and you should be betting pretty frequently, I think. You do want to bet in the spot, though, because your opponent's going to have some 2 pairs and sets that are drawing live,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And if they do have a random queen of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 9 of diamonds even,
Yeah.
they're not folding.
Yeah, and that's what I'm targeting right here.
Do you think you should bet bigger than half pot? Because if your opponent does have the queen or the jack or the 9, you think they'll call 3/4?
I think they'll have to think about it more. So right in this particular spot, I'm thinking about bet. That's the line that I'm taking, or that I'm already foreshadowing.
You're putting money in.
Yeah, I'm trying to build this pot up for sure, but I don't want, queen I think is going to have to call, but jacks and 9s, they're going to be a little bit careful because we're also mega deep. I think they're going to be pretty careful with what they want to stack off.
You have to be careful in spots where it becomes very clear to your opponent that you're going to be blasting the river. Whenever you half pot the turn, a big river bet is not egregiously big.
Yeah.
But if you bet pot on the turn, then a big river bet becomes a lot.
Yeah.
And that will start to make most players fold out their bluff catchers, especially in a spot where you have a lot of nuts in your range.
For sure. And I'm just trying to keep worse hands in.
Yeah. All right, so half pot, get called, we're loving life.
Yeah.
Let's see the river.
The river pairs the board. Still, my hand is too strong to check it back. I bet 80%, targeting the queen or jack of diamonds.
The river pairs the board.
Yeah.
Many players in the spot check behind. But you're greedy.
I am. I want it all.
Well, okay, fine. Let's see if you can get it all. So you bet 80% pot, clearly trying to get called by a queen or a jack of diamonds, right? I think those hands will find calls a lot of the time. The nice thing about betting big is that you look like you have a really good hand. The problem here, though, is that what is a really good hand that makes sense?
Yeah.
Because you would almost certainly not bet sets on the turn all that often.
Yeah.
So you look like you have the ace of diamonds.
Yeah.
Do you think when you check, when your opponent checks the river, that if you bet big, you're going to get check raise bluffed very often at all?
I don't in my player pool. I do not.
Okay, well good. If that's the case, you should just be maximally greedy and go for full value.
Right. And the thing, the thing about queen and jacks, they can find, some people would find a call here because a lot of the hands that will play the same exact way are perhaps smaller diamonds. Like maybe I had 7-6 of diamonds. Maybe I had jack 9 with one of the diamonds that will play for the same exact way. And when opponent checks the turn, then it's our turn to start blasting off and trying to get him off of a better hand. I mean, obviously in this case, I had the nuts leading into the river. But, there are hands that I'm bluffing with similar size on turn and rivers as well.
I like the value bet. Let's see if your opponent calls.
It doesn't take long before Pierre jams it in. I have 9K behind me, so this isn't a small jam. I immediately puke in my mouth.
You got 3 combos of 2s. Are you serious here? Oh, God. Another boat by the river? Oh, my God. I don't know.
He has 3 combos of 2s, 9 combos of 10-8 that would have played it the same way. It feels unlikely that he would have gotten there, but this is such an underbluff spot. I don't see the bluffs and I just call it for what it is. He's nutted and I need to make a big fold. Indeed, I painfully let go of the hand.
You get check shoved all in. Are you happy? Snap call?
No.
No.
I feel disgusted. There's so much context in the game as well too. So opponent has been running extremely hot. He's already hit 2 disguised full houses heating up to this point, and hence you can see the stack size. We all bought in for like 10 or 15K. He ran it up to well over 40K at one point. So you can already see, like, in my mind, I'm like, oh my God. Some foul language also in the video where I'm like, are you effing kidding me? Like, is this the third time in the past hour that you got the nuts again? Or the effective nuts? And so, yeah, it was a pretty gross spot.
Yeah, this is a tough one because you almost certainly have no full houses. But he
I never have any full houses.
Certainly has a lot of full houses.
Correct. Yeah. He has 3 combos of 2s, 3 combos of 8s. I think he almost always 3-bets his 10s pre-flop, but may have a couple of combos here and there that may have chose to just play a single raise spot. But no matter what, I mean, he has at least 6 pairs of sets right here, full houses here.
So the question then becomes, do people check raise bluff the river all that often with logical bluffs. And also, what are even logical bluffs here?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the only bluffs that would check raise the flop would be like, at this point, queen of diamonds, jack, queen of diamonds, 9, jack of diamonds, 9. And will the opponent turn that into a bluff or just find a call? Because you got to presume those are the hands you thought were just going to call you.
Totally, yep.
So find other bluffs, and there are almost no other bluffs in my mind. So I presume this is value heavy. If you've watched all the videos here at youtube.com/pokercoaching, you know when people check raise the river, they have the nuts.
Almost always.
Or do they?
Almost always.
Almost always. Not this time, though. Your opponent shows you. Does he show you the bluff?
He does. He shows
my after you fold.
After I fold, of course.
I like the fold, by the way.
Yeah. Pretty tough. This is a bad bet. It was an extremely bad bet.
Was it a bad bet?
I think, I mean...
I don't mind it.
It's a bad bet against this player who's extremely intelligent and knows that I cap my range on the turn. It's a bad bet in that perspective.
Yeah, the thing is, if your opponent knows the best you have is ace-high flush,
Yep.
and they're willing to try to bluff you off the ace-high flush, then it gets way more dicey.
Yeah.
Most people, though, if you give them the queen or the jack or the 9 of diamonds, they're either going to call or they're going to fold.
Yeah.
98% of people are going to call or they're going to fold.
Yeah, and it was pretty interesting. We had a pretty lengthy conversation afterward, and he talked to me about, like, how he's seen me make big calls, but he's also seen me make big folds, and he felt like the way he played, he had all of the sets on the flop, and that I would find that. I would remember that flop check raise, and then hence find the fold. Yeah.
How did you feel after this hand?
Oh, I wanted to barf. I did imaginary barf, and just got. But that's poker. You get into like good and bad hands, and I learned so much from that particular hand, and I had coaching specific to that hand, and it just like any other mistakes you make in poker, makes you a better player. So.
All right. Well, where can people follow you on YouTube?
People can follow me on YouTube. My channel name is JWin Poker. That's JWin Poker.
Easy.
Nice
and easy. Make sure you go there. Click the like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell. Click all the buttons.
Yeah.
JWin's doing a great job providing a lot of amazing content for all of you. And make sure you check him out. Good luck. Have fun. We'll review a few more hands coming up soon for all of you because I like JWin and I think you will too. If you don't already know JWin. Everybody knows JWin at this point though. Talk to you next time.